Yeah. Mhm. Hi everyone, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is of course Saturday, December 2nd, and this is the show that Big Man on Campus and I do every Saturday. We've been doing this every Saturday in college football season. It's been going pretty well overall, and we're going to do it one final time here for college football week 14. Then we'll cover the bowls somehow. Not sure how that's going to work, but Big Man on Campus, we got a small slate of cards, and we got the conference championships, we got the Sun Belt games, and I think once again I'm seeing a few plays that I'm liking with a little bit of value. What do you think, Big Man?
I'm pretty pumped up about it, Peter. Conference championships. Let's jump into it.
All right. Well, why don't we start out? We're going to get to every game, but let's start out. By. Oh, and also, did you look at any of the FCS games or not?
I didn't look at all of them, but I mean, a couple of them, you kind of just know stuff, North Dakota State, stuff like that. But no, I haven't looked at all of those.
Yeah, me neither. I did not, because there are a lot of FCS games today that are going with lines. I did not have a chance to look at them. Why don't we start out with this? Why don't we each give one bet that we definitely are liking from the games today, and then we'll go down each game game by game. Here's the first one, and who knows, this might be the one that. Do you have one in mind, Big Man?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, let me start. This is the one that I'm liking, I think, the best, and I'm not exactly sure what's up with the line movement that we've seen on it, and it is the total in the South Alabama-New Mexico State game. We know that New Mexico State can put up a ton of points, right? South Alabama can be scored on, and South Alabama, I know they got shut out in their last game, but they can put up a few on their own, and it's a very, very low total and got bet down. It went all the way down to 52.5. And I grabbed that one. Now it's up to a 53.5 or 54, which makes more sense. So it is coming back up. I made that one my 2-unit play in the Beat the Prick contest on the over, and I'm thinking that that might be a great bet there, 53.5 on the over. What do you think?
Yeah, the only concern you'd have there, Peter, is that weird South Alabama offense will struggle to move the ball. But against New Mexico State, a team that there isn't a great defense, this isn't Troy or anything. It looks a little low. I'd prefer it around like 49.50, but it's still kind of low. New Mexico State will probably put up the bulk of those points, but yeah, I could see it.
I mean, you don't love that one. I'm a little bit surprised here. I would have been thinking that you strongly agreed with me, but you're only like mildly agreeing with it.
Well, I always have issues, Peter, with overs with Southern Alabama. They struggle to move the ball at times. They can look really lethargic on offense. So that's kind of the only reason keeping me off of it.
All right, well, I'll make this one an official play. I will take this one starting out. New Mexico State, South Alabama, over 53.5, minus 107 is the best line at Pinnacle. And I might throw on some New Mexico State team totals later on in this show. But for sure, I'll go with 53.5, over 53.5, minus 107 right now at Pinnacle. What would you say is your best bet of this card today?
Well, I like them all equally, but I'm going to go ahead and give out one early here on this 12 o'clock slate. This UL Monroe Florida State game is pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on with this Florida State program right now. Coach has left, kind of left that program. He didn't really even tell anyone he was leaving. He just up and left. And you look at UL Monroe, not a ton to play for, but this is a huge game. You got Florida State down in Florida State. It's just your Super Bowl kind of game. This is too many points. I mean, why the hell is Florida State laying this kind of number? They didn't cover all year, and then we're covering 7-point numbers. Now you're going to think that they can lay 26? Look, this could be a situation where they could come out with their heads on fire and be like, you know what, we're just going to play well after our coach left and end the season. But what is the motivation here for Florida State? I mean, your season's ending. You have no coach. You have no real leader at all. And UL Monroe comes in here pretty pumped up and excited about this game. They're not a terrible team, Peter. I don't look at UL Monroe this year like I look at Coastal Carolina or a team like that. I want to think they can hang within 26 points here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was sort of scratching my head about this one as well. Obviously, Florida State's gotten a little bit better defensively recently, but let's not forget that Florida State's quarterback and the big running back are both freshmen. And so you're right. This is not necessarily a game where they might be highly motivated to leave it all out there on the field. And
Peter,
ULM only lost by 28 to Auburn. I definitely loved ULM in that one. That was a little bit different because it was a look-ahead spot for Auburn, and this, I mean, Florida State does need a win here to get bowl eligible, so presumably they will want to win this game. But you might be right. That's a good play. Is that an official pick from you?
Yes, that is going to be, and look at all looking against Auburn, Monroe is able to score some points. If they could put some points on the board, this is almost a 4 touchdown number
Yeah.
with Florida State. This kind of reminds me of a couple weeks ago, Tennessee played UMass in a
Yeah.
precarious spot. They had to lay a big number, and they didn't even come close. Florida State will win, obviously, but to say they can win by 27, 28 points, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. That's how I was leaning. I was just kind of scratching my head a little bit. Jimbo Fisher is supposed to be on the sidelines, right?
No, I think he's left completely.
Really? Because I read that he was going to coach this game anyway, and that was another reason that had me concerned, because the guy who was replacing him was a guy who supposedly all the players loved, and we're talking about how they wanted to play for him. But then I read that Fisher is actually going to be coaching this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks. That's the big thing for me. It's thrown off the locker room. And this is a lot of points. This isn't 11 or 12. This is almost 4 touchdowns. So
yeah.
I think UL Monroe's capable to hang in the game.
All right. Well, the best line right now is at Pinnacle plus 26 minus 106. So Big Man's giving ULM plus 26 minus 106. I like New Mexico State on the over 53.5 minus 107. And again, I might give some team totals on that one as well. I guess let's go down the other 12 o'clock games that are very interesting. Memphis and UCF, obviously a very interesting game. Memphis has completely turned it around recently. They're 6-0-1 against the spread over their last 7 games. UCF, of course, off of of the big game against South Florida, which probably took a lot out of them. They're actually 1-4 ATS over their last 5. Of course, they played in September, and UCF blew them out. But this is a completely different situation. And I was thinking that Memphis getting 7 here might be worth a play. Not necessarily that they're going to win, but that it is going to be obviously a lot closer than the first game, and might go down to the wire, and probably will be decided by less than a touchdown. What do you think about that analysis, Big Man?
Yeah, I like it. One thing, Peter, back to the game we just talked about. According to ESPN, Jimbo Fisher won't coach in this game. So he's completely gone. So I guess a defensive tackle coach will assume the responsibility.
Right.
Here.
And what I was reading, I mean, sometimes you take this with a grain of salt. Sometimes it matters a lot. But he's a coach who, quote unquote, the players love him, and quote unquote, they want to come out and play for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. No, I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
definitely. But as far as Memphis, I actually agree with you on this play. I think in a game like this, I'm going to have to go and take the 7 points here with Riley Ferguson. This is a revenge spot. This is a game where, for me, Memphis, you won in a shootout 7 points. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think UCF is a little vulnerable in the secondary. They don't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. I think this will be a back-and-forth game. And with the 7 points, I'll think they'll be valuable here.
Yeah, I did bet this one earlier. It was 7 at a pretty good line. It's now headed down. It's 6.5 at Pinnacle and a bunch of other places. A couple places. The Greek has 7 minus 120, but BetDSI still has 7 minus 110. So I'll take that line. Throw on Memphis plus 7 minus 110 as a second official pick. Do you want to go with that one as well, or just a lean?
That's just a lean for me.
Okay,
I'm not in love with it.
Okay, that line definitely appears to be headed down in Memphis's direction, which I think is pretty telling and pretty interesting. But I'm definitely on that one. I grabbed the DSI line plus 7 minus 110. Now let's talk about the TCU Oklahoma game. Big Man, so much we could talk about in this one. Obviously, the first time they met, Oklahoma pretty comfortably dominated them, and it wasn't really a fluky outcome. It wasn't a fluky result. Oklahoma just looked better overall than TCU, and so here, TCU is, we can assume that they're going to make some adjustments and have an improvement over that performance. But Oklahoma's only laying 7. Bookmaker has a 7.5. Intertops has 7.5, but most of the market has 7. Do you think TCU is going to be able to make enough improvements to keep this one within a touchdown?
Listen, I'm sure they will, and I somewhat trust Gary Patterson, but I don't really want to bet against Baker Mayfield, frankly. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those spots where TCU, I backed them in these kind of spots before, and they always show this hoorah about how they're going to be great defensively and blah 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 blah. And I don't really trust Kenny Hill either, Peter. He's a guy that I think's been vastly underperforming his entire career. If I could get in these championship games, Peter, taking the 7 or laying the 7, a lot of the time you're going to push a lot of the time. I mean, sometimes even. I could see this as a 7-point game and I don't make a ton of money. So I'll pass. I
Yeah.
like Oklahoma. I don't want to bet Baker Mayfield, and I don't want to bet on Kenny Hill.
I guess I'm going to pass. I mean, most places have 7. A few places have 7.5. Yeah, it is tempting. And Brent from DSI did tell us that sharp action came in on the over, which is a little bit surprising, I think. I mean, I could certainly, a lot of times these championship games are lower scoring than people anticipate. Sometimes they're not. But I could see TCU really trying to slow this one down and trying to limit possessions and having some success with that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if they can control the tempo of the game, we'll be low scoring. But Oklahoma, as we know, not a good defensive team, not a good, great offensive team. So I could see where Sharks would think that they would control the tempo, and if they are up big in this game, the game will go over because TCU will have to scramble to score.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about another 12 o'clock game that I did bet that appears to be headed in the direction that I bet it, and I did bet the over in the UMass Florida International game. I got it at 55.5, and it now appears to be headed up, but Bookmaker still has 55.5. I did take that one in the Beat the Prick contest as an official play, and I will throw that on right now before it moves. Florida International over 55.5 minus 110. That's where I bet it. That's the line right now at Bookmaker. Other places have 56, 56.5. Pinnacle has 57. So sharp books apparently disagreeing here. Bookmaker with a lean to the under. Pinnacle with a lean to the over. I'm leaning over here. We know that Florida International, has a quarterback who can be productive. They put up a bunch of points last week. Same deal with UMass, and kind of a high total, but not a super high total. What do you think about that pick?
Well, the question I have is, why is Florida International a 3-point home underdog?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand this. I mean, do bookmakers really think Florida International is going to say, "Oh, well, we made a bowl game. We're just going to hang out and not really play too hard today"? It's the latest game. I mean, why are they 3-point underdogs to UMass?
Yeah, I mean, they blasted Western Kentucky last week, and not only are they 3-point underdogs, but just a few hours ago, they were 1.5-point underdogs, and of course, they opened as a 1-point favorite. So there's been a huge market move here in favor of UMass, and I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, UMass obviously has some, unless there's some sort of motivational issue that we're not factoring in here or that we're not aware of. I mean, my sense is that as the line creeps up, obviously, I would be leaning FIU, but I'm just liking the over here. I'm going to make that one an official pick at 55.5 minus 110. I don't know why. I can't answer that question. Why is the line moving so strongly in UMass's favor right now? Not exactly sure. It kind of reminds me of some of those Iowa lines and Northwestern lines that we saw earlier in the year, which moved strongly in their favor, which I bet against, where they did wind up covering, but it wound up taking overtime, and it was a little bit fluky. So sometimes those line movements are those strong late line movements are not necessarily accurate.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
They act like this is the NFL, where it's like if you have everything locked up, you just say, "Oh, well, we're just going to let all our backups play." I don't think they're going to do that in this situation. I mean, you have a 7-4 team who wants to try to get to 8 wins.
Yeah.
You know what? This could be a total trap, and I could look real stupid here. I'm taking Florida International. Give me that for official.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they blasted Western Kentucky last week. Let's find the best line right now. Where is it? Well, it's way up to 3 now, and even Bet Online is now, UMass is now -3, -113. The Greek is still hanging at 2.5, though, so they appear to have a lean to Florida International. But the best line I'm sorry?
I remember the first game of the year, similar line movement against Hawaii, and I think it ended up coming back to bite Hawaii bettors. But this UMass team's weird. I even think their quarterback's out. Ross Comas is out right now, I think. But yeah, I'm taking the bait, Peter.
Okay. Best line right now is at Bet Online, +3, -107. Very interesting line move here. We'll see where it actually closes and how things turn out. Big Man's taking Florida International +3, -107 as an official pick, and I'm taking the over 55.5, -110 as an official pick. Now let's move on to a game that is certainly very interesting and is seeing some back and forth line movement, actually, and that's the North Texas Florida Atlantic game. Obviously, Florida Atlantic just steamrolling all comers this year, although last week in their blowout win, they were actually too big of a favorite in that one, and even though they got a big double-digit win, they kind of didn't have a very good second half and actually wound up losing that one ATS. But FAU's just been awesome ATS this year, and North Texas, though, also obviously very impressive offensively this year. They've now covered 4 in a row. They've been a good bet on the year. And this line has kind of been going back and forth. It opened around 9, got all the way up to 12.5 or 13, and now it's coming back down. We're seeing some 11s, and even Bet Online has 10.5. So some late money coming in here on North Texas. And we're probably, unless you think that there's not going to be scoring because it's the championship game, I'm assuming there's going to be scoring from both sides here. Yet the total is headed down pretty significantly. It's now all the way down to 71 at Pinnacle. What's your take on this game, big man?
Yeah, I think Florida Atlantic's the play just because I don't really see any reason to think it'd be different than the first matchup. The only difference here is the best running back for North Texas won't play in this game. That's a big loss for the Mean Green. It's in Boca Raton. And Florida Atlantic's just been steamrolling opponents, Peter. It's been pretty impressive. You get a national TV game, so Lane Kiffin, I'm sure, will want to put up plenty of points here to show he has that ego of his. So, Florida Atlantic, I think the big story with them, and I've mentioned this before, is their defense. They've been very good defensively over the most part this year at home. I think they're giving up like 20 points a game at home, which is impressive. I don't see any way North Texas stops Florida Atlantic, Peter. North Texas, 103rd in the country against the run, giving up over 200 a game.
Yeah.
I'm going to, at this number, I'm going to have to take Florida Atlantic at minus 10.5.
Yeah, I'm thinking that way as well. Do you have anything to say about the total? Because it is interesting that it's headed down. And you're right. Florida Atlantic does have a little bit of, because their offense is so explosive, I think their defense gets a little bit, ignored. They have, their games at home have been, some of them been quite low scoring. The Marshall game was low scoring and went under. The Middle Tennessee game was modest scoring and went under. But of course, the North Texas game went to 100. I still got to be leaning over here, even though FAU does have a respectable defense and the total is headed down. What do you think about the total?
Yeah, I mean, Florida Atlantic usually puts up 40 a game. The question is, can North Texas put up points? And that's the question mark here. Because, like I said, I really have liked Florida Atlantic's defense. Gun to my head, I'd consider the under. Actually,
you would.
I think this is like a 38. 21 type of game, honestly.
Okay, so you don't see it as being too explosive scoring.
I think Florida Atlantic will score a lot of points, but I'm questionable in wondering if North Texas can.
Right. Okay, so as far as an official pick, what do you want to do here, big man?
I'm going to go with Florida Atlantic minus 10.5.
Okay, minus 10.5, minus 114 at Bet Online is the Florida Atlantic. Minus 10.5, minus 114 is the line right now. And and I'm definitely thinking that Florida Atlantic might start out this game, speeding things up on North Texas. I'm going to take FAU on the first half. It's a split line, 6.5 or 7. Pinnacle does have 6.5, so I'm going to take FAU first half minus 6.5, minus 106 as an official play. And just to think about it, what do you think about maybe a shot with the Florida Atlantic team total over at 42? That's 6 touchdowns, but that seems like something that they could reasonably easily attain, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to be around 40. 44, 40. I don't know. It's kind of high. If I'm getting under 40, I'm looking more or less towards it. But I think the only concern, Peter, that I have in this game, and I'm not going to get off my bet, the only concern I would have if I'm an FAU backer is the reverse line movement is weird. I mean, I've seen a lot of people on FAU. Why is the line going the other way? That's a little concerning. I mean, I don't think I've seen one person on North Texas this whole week, and now the line's backtracking a little. So that's kind of concerned.
It is backtracking just a bit. I understand why you like Florida Atlantic here, and the Florida Atlantic team total over now is just down to 40.5 because the game total is headed down, and it's now down to 70.5 at Pinnacle. Wow, this total is really crashing. Some serious money coming in on the under, and the spread. Again, a little bit of a movement in favor of North Texas recently, but kind of holding right now at 10.5 or 11. That's interesting. We'll see. Another game that has seen a big line movement over the week and is also seeing some buyback the other way is the MAC championship game, Toledo against Akron. Obviously, Toledo has an offense that is very, very hard to stop. The question is, what will Akron be able to do offensively? I actually bet the over on this one earlier in the week. I got it at 58. The Sharps came in on the over when it was at 54.5. It did open as low as 54 at some places, and now it is up to 60 or 61 market wide, 60, 60.5, or 61. Pretty clearly, Toledo's going to put up some points, so maybe the Toledo team total over is the play here. here, but they were 21 recently, and now it's down to 20.5 or 20. So some money coming in on Akron late. What's your take on that one, big man?
Yeah, at 21, I would have looked towards the dog there, but I mean, 21's not around. It's interesting. When we started this show, it was 21.
Yeah,
it's now down as we get to it here. I actually kind of like your Toledo team total over. I could think Akron will hang in this game just because, Peter, I don't know if you've watched Toledo a lot this year, but I mean, at what point did they show you they can get stops on the defensive side of the football? Because I didn't see very many. I mean, maybe I was just drunk every game, even though I don't drink. But I don't remember seeing a lot. And I do like Cato Nelson, the young quarterback for Akron. I think he can. He's going to have to throw the ball consistently in this game, but he can get out of situations scurrying around. I wish I could get 21, man. That's just the kicker here. I'm going to stay off it just because it's not 21, but I do really like Akron here.
Yeah, and I like the over as well. I agree with you that I do think that Akron is going to be at least somewhat productive here. I think that the quarterback they've got going now should be okay enough, maybe not necessarily to get a cover, but to push the game over. So I like the over, and I'm thinking about making that one an official play. It's there are now no 60s available. It's just 60.5, 61, and a couple of 61.5. And one, go ahead.
Let's go on it. You and I, the over 60.5. I like
okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to take. There. Go ahead.
You got the turf field. You got indoors. Both teams can't stop each other. Let's do it. Come on.
All right, let's take it. I bet it at 58, and it was 58.5 for a long time. If this one lands on 58, 59, or 60, which can happen, because Big Man, in yesterday's show, you remember the Duquesne-Pittsburgh game? You remember that one?
Sure.
I said I really liked the over at 138 or 138.5, but by the time we were doing the show, it was up to 140.5 or 141. I stayed off it, and it landed right on 140. So these games can land on the numbers when you miss a line move. Go ahead.
I've been middled before. It sucked.
Sure. All right, so Big Man's going to take the over at 60.5 minus 107, and okay, I'll go on that one with you as well. Toledo over 60.5 minus 107 at Pinnacle. That's a pick that both Big Man and I are going to take. If this one lands on 59 or 60, I'm going to be very annoyed, but hopefully it won't. Big Man and I both on the over on that one. All right, so let's see. What else do we have at 12 o'clock? We got that one. All right, now let's move on to Georgia Southern and Coastal Carolina. This is a kind of interesting game, I guess, because Georgia Southern, after the firing of their coach, really did turn it around from an ATS perspective, right? They covered 4 out of their last 5, and Coastal Carolina really slumping to the finish line here. I was thinking, though, that there might be a shot with the over. The very, very low total is 51 recently. Now it's gotten bet down. I understand that that's a little bit of a contrarian play, I guess you might say, considering what Coastal Carolina has done offensively recently, and of course their starting quarterback is out. So the other guy, Kilton Anderson, is going to have a better game than he's shown recently in order to get this one over. But I'm thinking that I'm not sure that Coastal Carolina devoted a lot of time to guard against the option in this game. I'm thinking Georgia Southern puts up the points, and I'm thinking that maybe we see an over here as well. What do you think, Big Man?
Yeah, I actually this is one of the games I've talked about on another couple other shows here at SBR. I like Georgia Southern. I think they're a pretty decent play.
Yeah.
I've done some research on their new coach, Chad Lunsford, and he's basically been promoted after Tyson Summers left. Has a great attitude, really kind of. I feel like he's going to institute quite the culture there at Georgia Southern. They've been mired in a couple years of poor performance, no real culture, no real leader. I think in a game like this, the last game of the year, you definitely, as young players, want to impress the coach, a lot of young kids on this team. And they have a capable quarterback. Shea Wert's a pretty good player. I like your point about Coastal not really being prepared for the option. They probably don't see it much, especially being new here. And their defensive tactics are poor anyway. No quarterback. He's out with an injury. I kind of like Georgia Southern here, but there's other games on the card. I don't really feel like laying 3 with them. So it's a lean, but I like your points, and I agree with you on Georgia Southern.
All right, well, I'm gonna take the over. It's all over the place right now, from 49 all the way up to 51. The highest line is 51. BetDSI has 49, so I will take a shot with the over 49 minus 110. The current line at BetDSI. I'd also be leaning Georgia Southern. I'd also be leaning the Georgia Southern team total over, and maybe Georgia Southern first half. And I might give all those plays before this show is out, because I'm definitely liking those. All right, is there anything? What else do you want to bring to our attention, big man? Maybe you want to lock in before the line moves.
You know what? I'm actually gonna wait, Peter. I want to see where these lines move. So I have no pressing issues on getting games in.
All right, well then let's jump right into it. Big man on campus. Georgia against Auburn. SEC title game. Huge line move in this one, right? Early on in the week, it was 2.5 or 3. Moved to Pick'em. Now Georgia is a favorite, and not only a 1-point favorite, they're now up to -1.5 or 2 market wide. So a pretty significant move here in favor of Georgia. Understandable why, right? Auburn, of course, blew out Georgia a few weeks ago, so a revenge spot here for Georgia. You would assume Auburn also coming off the emotional win against Alabama. Do you think this line move is an overreaction, or do you think Georgia takes this game and wins? I'm thinking about taking Georgia here on the money line, even though it has moved so much in their favor.
Peter, I fucking love Auburn.
Really?
Give me them. They win 34-13. I'm going to tell you why.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, here's what I'm going to tell you. First of all, they have Jarrett Stidham. He could throw 40 passes if we need him to, but he won't have to. I didn't know Kerryon Johnson's not going to play, but there's a massive overreaction that they still have high-level recruits that can run the football in the case he doesn't play. I just asked myself, do we see that much of a difference in I mean, we'll see a difference, but I think Auburn's the best team in the country. I've said that this week, and I believe that. I think defensively, they're absolutely fantastic. I don't think they're going to give Georgia much any way of an alley to run the football. I think offensive line-wise, Auburn has a huge advantage, and they have a major advantage at quarterback. Jake Fromm, what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to throw the football. Auburn's not stupid. They'll stack the box, make Fromm beat them, and I don't think Fromm can beat them, frankly. I think he's a young kid. Maybe he'll be good, down the road, but right now, in this kind of game, I like Auburn. I think Auburn's the best team in the country. I think they're going to win the national title, and I'm going to take them in this game. I think they win 34-13. I'll gladly take, at this point, Peter Loshak. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can actually get +2 out there right now. I'm going to grab it with 2 hands and go with Auburn.
All right. Well, if you're so confident there, tough guy, why don't you take him on the money line? Take it at +110 or 115.
Well, I had a feeling you were going to say that. I'm going to.
Yeah, really? Okay, let's go.
Auburn +105.
Let's see what the line. Hey, who knows what the line is now? Let's check SBR odds. Go to the money line tab. Yes, that's true. Pinnacle is +107. So we will give you Auburn to win outright +107. Wow. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe taking the 2 points would be better, because if this is a game that goes down to a wire, I could see a team winning by 1 point here,
I thought I'd get a little, but I'm really not getting anything back. I'm going to just take the 2, Peter.
Yeah, okay, so let's go back to point spreads here at SBR odds. Let's see what the best line for a +2 would be. Looking at Auburn +2, yeah, -110. Every place that has +2 has it at -110. All right, so big man's going to take
Peter,
Auburn.
I don't understand, the love affair. I mean, Georgia's a solid team. I've liked them all year, but they literally got beaten up in the first matchup. I mean, right. I know that'll even out and everything, but I mean, you got a young quarterback here against a real good defense. Give me Auburn, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are just looking at probably Auburn's win over Alabama and thinking that first of all took a lot out of them, and second of all might be rendering them a little bit overvalued here.
That whole going to take a lot out of them. These are college kids. That is the stupidest argument you can make. These are young kids. All they like to do is play football. And they are buzzing to play this game. Buzzing.
Yeah, and the other way you can look at it is, holy shit, Auburn's so good, they beat Alabama by double digits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Big man's going to take Auburn +2, -110. And I know you've looked into this game quite a bit. I want to get your take on the total, because, of course, there's been also almost as strong of a move towards the under as there has been towards Georgia. It opened at 49. I think it went all the way up to 51. And now I'm not exactly sure where it opened, but I definitely saw 51 on this game. It was 47.5 a while ago, and now it's a split line, 47.5 or 47. The line is clearly clearly crashing. Obviously, the first game went over. So if you think that this game is more likely to resemble the first game than not, a lot of people thinking that it's going to be completely different. But, maybe the over at such a low line is worth a play. What do you think?
Yeah, these are games, Peter, where generally this number in SEC games like this are around this kind of area, 46 to 50. And it always seems like late in the game, it's at 44. You need a big defensive stop or something, and you don't usually get it. This is one I'm just going to all kind of stay off of because I do think it'll be a low scoring game. Both these teams very good on the defensive side. But Auburn can open it up a little bit, maybe break some big plays. Who knows what we'll get from special teams. That's another thing about Auburn you have to like. Special teams, they have a very good special teams unit for the most part. It's a tough one. I don't like the drop in the line. So for me, I'll stay off of it.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams this year, when they have played competitive games with spreads, less than a touchdown, they have tended to be very low scoring. Of course, Auburn played Clemson in that situation. That was very low scoring. And Georgia played Notre Dame in that situation. That one went under. That was very low scoring. So maybe there is a good reason to be liking the under here. Yeah, it's tempting, though, to take the over in light of how the first game went and how the line is moving. Let's see. Now let's touch on Ohio State, Wisconsin, right? Another game that has seen a huge move very, very recently. When I was handicapping this game with guest handicappers all week long, it was all the way up at 6. At times, it was at 7 earlier in the week. Now it's crashed. Ton of money coming in on Wisconsin. It's 3.5 or 4. Well, obviously, Wisconsin undefeated. Obviously, Wisconsin is a strong defensive team, but are they maybe getting a little bit overvalued here by driving this line closer to 3?
Peter, kiss the ring, baby. I got 7 in this game. How about that?
Are you serious?
How about that?
Wow.
How about that?
That is very, very, very impressive and very nice. And yeah, I guess if you like Wisconsin at all in this one and you see 7, you got to assume that it's not going to go to 7.5. At that point, you're getting the best number that you could possibly be getting. Great job there, big man on campus. See, I didn't take that because I was thinking that Ohio State was the play here. So I didn't want to take Wisconsin when it was 7 or 6.5. Now I'm thinking Ohio State might be the play at 3.5 or 4, but you really like Wisconsin in this spot.
I love Wisconsin.
Wow. Okay.
I'm very high on Wisconsin. I think the general consensus is they haven't played anybody. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. They're getting no respect in this game, Peter. They're undefeated. And they got a quarterback on the other side who just had surgery, for God's sakes.
Right.
Surgery. I mean, come on here with this. Wisconsin is an elite defense, Peter. Okay, they're number 2 in the country in time of possession. They sit on the football. They're very effective running the ball. You look at the quarterback. I know Hornibrook you don't love, but
Right.
I've seen him make some throws over the last couple weeks I've been impressed by. I don't think they're getting any respect. Paul Chryst doesn't talk. You don't hear him jabbering on. This is the spot where, for me, Wisconsin says, fuck all of you.
Mm-hmm.
We need some fucking respect here. We're going to win this game. I think they're the second best team in the country. I think it should be
Really?
Wisconsin and Auburn. Yes, Peter, look at Wisconsin and everything they do. Look at this football program. Look at this sports program. They do everything the right way. Their basketball team is disciplined. They don't commit turnovers. They're taught the right way. They get these good athletes, these big bruising kids. Look at that home advantage they have. I know this isn't at home, but they just play the right way. They don't fumble the football. They don't, they just do everything. They're very old school. You got to respect it if you're a guy like me who loves defense and things like that. I like them in this game. I can't trust JT Barrett. He can't be 100%. Urban Meyer's a guy that just hard to root for. I hate Ohio State.
Right.
And I think Wisconsin's a better football team than they are. I really do. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to see them beat Ohio State and go to the national football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Wisconsin manhandled Iowa, and Iowa manhandled Ohio State. So, you don't want to read too much into things like that when you see them on the schedule. But that is kind of an eye-popping discrepancy there. Of course, Wisconsin, again, was at home. They have a huge home field advantage, as we all know. Yeah, I guess I was just thinking that this is maybe a bit of the old Wisconsin-type team that is, awesome, legit awesome on defense and efficient and above average on offense, but not explosive. And when they get matched up against teams that are explosive on offense and are good enough on defense, they're not a good bet. But go ahead.
But Ohio State at this point,
right? We
know that even when healthy, JT Barrett has issues throwing the football downfield. again, they've beaten everyone that's been put in front of them. They've beaten most of the teams put in front of them by a wide margin. I hear your points totally. This would be a close game. It'll be a fun one. But I mean, what happens if JT Barrett goes into the game and he's out 3 series in? I mean, it's concerning. Wisconsin is they're the top number one total defense in the country, Peter. They're really good, really good. Give me whiskey.
You want to take it as an official pick?
Well, yeah, I think they're going to win. So give me them on the money line.
You want them on the money line? Okay, let's go. Yeah. Right now, the spread is split 3.5 or 4. So I'm here at SBRodds.com. Now we go to the money line drop down menu, and let's see what we can offer you for an official pick right now. Obviously, this line has gotten down. Scanning. Intertops has the best money line for Wisconsin, plus 170. Thank you so much, Intertops, for offering us the best money line on Wisconsin to win outright over Ohio State, which is what Big Man wants. Is that good enough for you, plus 170?
That's just fine, Peter.
Okay, Intertops is plus 170. That's a significantly better line than what Pinnacle's hanging right now, which is 157. A bunch of other places are in the 150s, 160s. Intertops has 170. Okay, great, perfect example though of how line chopping is so important. Much rather be getting 170 than something in the 150s. And Big Man's going to take Wisconsin on the money line, plus 170. All right, so let's review all the picks that we've given officially so far, and then get to some of the plays that I might want to be adding here, and maybe you do as well, Big Man. And there's also a couple of first half team totals that I think I'm going to add. We'll get to that in a second. But so far, Big Man on Campus has given us Auburn plus 2, ULM plus 26, FIU plus 3, FAU minus 10.5, minus 114, Wisconsin on the money line plus 170, and the Toledo game over 60.5, minus 107. I'm on the Toledo over with Big Man. I gave Coastal Carolina game over 49, the New Mexico State game over 53.5, Memphis plus 7, the FIU game over 55.5, and Florida Atlantic first half minus 6.5, minus 106. All sound good to you, Big Man?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, and interestingly, you grabbed Florida International when they were plus 3, minus 107. Since you did that, the line has actually taken a dip down. Money has come in on Florida International. I don't know if that's because people are watching this show and you sold them on it and they're betting it, but
I actually made a big bet on them, Peter. So
it's actually now down to 2.5 at BetOnline, which is where you got the 3 minus 107, and every place that has 3 now is pretty strongly juiced to the under. BetDSI has plus 3, but they're at minus 131. FIU is 2.5 at Pinnacle. So nice job there, beating that micro line move on Florida International. And you might be right that FIU getting disrespected by the line move in favor of UMass, and
makes no sense. Absolutely no sense.
All right, Big Man, I might make you put your money where your mouth is. You said, man, God, if I could get 21 with Akron, I'd take him, but blah, blah, blah. Well, now you can. It just moved to 21 at BetDSI. So a little bit of money coming in on Toledo, I guess. So if you want Akron, we can give you plus 21, minus 110 at BetDSI.
How do I not take that?
Well, what you can do is say, listen, what I said 15 minutes ago, I didn't really mean it. I was full of shit.
No, listen, Peter, listen, let me explain something.
Okay.
I want to make
school me, Big Man.
Perfectly crystal fucking clear.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but everything I say is on camera. It's all here. I can't go back and backtrack. I don't backtrack, Peter.
I do.
I said I liked Akron if it was at 21. And I'm on Akron plus 21.
Okay.
Give me it.
All right.
In. I am cool with putting my reputation out there. Most of these people that sit here and criticize me aren't, but I am.
That's absolutely true. Look, I put my reputation on the line on camera as well, but I constantly backtrack, and someone will say, yeah, but 15 minutes ago on camera, you said you liked that team at that line. And then I'm like, no, I changed my mind. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what? I'm gonna take Akron. I like them at 21. I couldn't get it. I'm not gonna buy points. We'll just wait, see if we can get it, and then we're able to get it. This is how you get good lines, guys.
Yes.
You buy points. You wait for it.
Absolutely, and if you, and especially with something like if you look at like the NBA totals market, there's always U-shaped line movement. Any NBA total that takes a significant move one way usually takes a significant move back the other way, by tip off. So absolutely, that's absolutely true. If the line isn't there and there's a line that you want, it can always pay to wait for it. FIU, if you didn't want them until they hit 3. waited and watched, and you could have gotten 3. Same deal with Akron here at plus 21 at BetDSI, minus 110. Big man on campus is adding that one onto his official slate of picks. All right, let's look at some other moves here. The Louisiana Monroe move line hasn't moved much. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, the Georgia Southern game is moving pretty significantly. There's only Heritage has 2.5 right now, and they're up at minus 130. Everyone else has 3, so pretty strong line move favoring Georgia Southern. Let's talk about the Georgia State game. Brent from BetDSI did tell us that sharp action came in on Georgia State when it was at minus 4. Earlier today it was at 6.5. Now it's up to 7 or 7.5, although the Greek does still have 6.5, so the Greek's holding it at 6.5. Of course, Idaho Linehan, their big quarterback, has been injured for a while. Then Petrino, the replacement, is gone, and third stringer is going to be starting for him. And Georgia State has a pretty nice quarterback to wide receiver tandem. They can put up some points. That was a game that I was also thinking about. Might be the line the total has been going down for understandable reasons. I was thinking about taking the Georgia State team total over, or just the over on this one, which I believe is now down at 44.5. You have anything to say about this one? Idaho Georgia State, big man.
Yeah, it's a sad day for the Potato Boys.
Yeah.
They're heading to FCS after this game. So you got to wonder what the thinking pattern is. Now you got to go on the road to Georgia in the last game of the season without your quarterback. Ew. If I'm Idaho, I'm not interested in this game at all. It's not in Moscow. That's where I generally like to back them. As far as the over, the only concern I have there is, can Idaho score with this backup? I mean, he's done an honorable job, I guess you could say. Pass for me, but this is a dreadful spot for Idaho.
Yeah, my sense is that probably, I think they'll come in here and give some kind of an offensive effort, right, and put up at least a few points, right? And if not, if you really don't think Idaho's going to be able to score at all, then maybe Georgia State, even at minus 7, is a good bet. Again, Greek does still have 6.5.
Yeah, but I've actually been on Georgia State one time this year, and they're just very kind of bipolar on offense. Sometimes they look real good, sometimes they don't. They're in a bowl game, I believe, already. There's not a ton to play for here, I guess, for other than pride and to get that final win.
All right, well, I'll tell you what I am going to do. I am going to take Heritage does offer first half team totals, and I am going to take the Georgia State first half team total over 13 minus 110. I think Georgia State is much more likely than not to get 2 touchdowns one way or another against the Idaho defense in the first half. So I will take that one, and I'm also going to throw on one other team total, first half team total over, which is going to be New Mexico State first half team total over 16.5 minus 115. I think one way or another, with the quarterback back, New Mexico State will be able to get 2 touchdowns and a field goal at least against South Alabama in the first half. So that's 2 first half team total overs I've added, big man. What do you think about that?
I like it. Hey, listen, Peter, balls to the wall today. We go hard on this show.
Yes,
no
we do.
Crap. We go hard. It's put up or shut up time.
Absolutely. 15 games, 25 picks each. All right, let's see. What else did we not get to? Well, I guess let's talk about Miami and Clemson. That line has taken a massive move in favor of Clemson. It opened at 5. It's just crept up and up and up. It got immediately hit up to 7. Then it kept on getting bet more and more and more. It was about 9 a few days ago. Now it's all the way up to 10 market wide. There aren't even any 9.5s right now. Obviously, Miami, Florida, coming off of their first loss of the year, the upset loss to Pitt and Clemson. You might think that Auburn's the best team in the country, Wisconsin number 2, but currently Clemson is ranked number 1, clearly an excellent team. What do you make of Clemson currently minus 10 over Miami?
Yeah, Peter, I don't know how much you watch my shows on NPR, but all year I've made the comments that I think Miami is going to beat Clemson in the title game.
Mm-hmm.
I've called Miami from the beginning of the season. The problem that you have in this game is you're not getting a fully healthy Miami team.
Right.
And that sucks because I think when healthy, I thought they really could have gave Clemson a game and may have beaten them. But you look at this point, and I'm backtracking basically, but I do want to say this. I think Miami could stay in this game with defense. They could turn the ball over. We all know that turnover chains everywhere. But I just think Clemson's a little too strong for them. I don't know that Miami will have a lot of success moving the football. I actually like the under in this game. Is 46 still available here?
Actually, Pinnacle has 46.5. Yeah, it has been headed down a little bit. It's 45.5, 46, or 46.5 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a shot with that because I think Clemson will put up, 24-30. I'm just not sure that Miami's going to have a ton of success offensively. If they get favorable field position because of a muff punt or something, maybe. But I think they're going to really have some trouble in this game moving the ball.
All right, you want to make that an official pick or just a lean?
Yep, that's going to be my last pick today.
Okay, Clemson under 46.5. Minus 107. That is the current line at Pinnacle. Everyone else has 46. Heritage has 45.5. So that's interesting. A little interesting little split there. Let's quickly talk about Troy, Arkansas State. Of course, two of the powerhouses from the Sun Belt. Brent from BetDSI told us that Sharps came in on the over on this one. It was at 58.5, which makes some sense to me. Although Troy's so good defensively that this game could be. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this game does turn into more of a defensive slugfest than people are expecting. It's now up to 59.5 or 60. And as far as the spread is concerned, to my eye, it looks completely evenly matched on paper. Troy's a little bit more rested, I think. But other than that, it looks completely evenly matched. It's now Troy -1 market wide. They opened as a small dog. Do you have anything to say about this one, big man?
No. I've had a couple of love-hate relationships with Arkansas State. I don't know. Troy, tough one. Sunbelt's a conference I haven't really enjoyed this year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's, Troy is, more rested. They're second off a bye, and they have one extra rest day, whereas Arkansas State, fourth off a bye, and they have one less rest day. And Troy's defense is great. Really, really hard to run on the Trojans. Although, what you can do is pass on them a little bit, which of course is what Arkansas State does very well. So, that's a tough one. It's a game that I'm going to pass on. Interesting that the Sharps took a shot with the over at 58.5. Not totally sure I agree with that one, but I'm certainly not going to be betting the under on that one. It's going to be a pass for me. And then finally, Fresno State, Boise State. I have not looked deep into that one yet. Did you look deep into that one, big man? You have any play on that one?
No, I don't. Actually, I'm good with plays. Some of these games are really tough later on. I mean, the Boise game. I mean, they just played last week. It is a lot of points though, isn't it, Peter?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have something. Maybe I'll small play later on it, but I have nothing official for the show.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Okay. And interestingly, I don't know whether that was you grabbing Akron at 21 at BetDSI, but BetDSI just moved down to 20. So some big action just came in on Akron at DSI, and now there are no 21s available. And actually, it's down to a 20 at most places right now. So nice job there, big man on campus. And let's see what other line.
Peter, you know what would be interesting?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? All these lines are moving right as I'm betting them.
I know,
isn't it?
They certainly are. Who knows who's listening to these shows and doing
maybe
what?
Maybe I'm one of those Sharps you talk about.
Could
all the time
be
on your show.
We really don't know. We just give these opinions and give these words. They go out into the into the world, and who knows who's watching and who's acting on it. We should quickly talk about Louisiana Lafayette against Appalachian State. This is another game with some peculiar line movement. Obviously, Appalachian State is great, and Louisiana Lafayette inconsistent at times. They can look excellent, but certainly at least as much as, if not more than that, they look very vulnerable. Appalachian State, they were a bad bet for most of the year, but they are off of two really nice covers and looking like they're definitely rounding to form here. Second off a bye, looks like a good spot for Appalachian State, but late money does appear to be coming in on Louisiana Lafayette. I said to myself that if they got to 14, I would take Appalachian State. It's now down to 14 and juice towards Louisiana Lafayette. There might even be some 13.5s at some point before kickoff. I'm thinking about giving Appalachian State -14, -101 as an official pick. What do you make of that, big man?
Yeah, I've had a cardinal rule. I'm not interested in laying a ton of points with App State. I mean, they're a team that's not necessarily built on blowing opponents out, especially this year. They've had a lot of big numbers that they're not covering just because they run the football a healthy amount, pretty good defense. Lafayette's a bad defensive team, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they roll here. A gun to my head, I'd take App State, but I don't have any true opinion on the game that I want to share.
Yeah, I mean, your point about Appalachian State not covering as a big favorite sort of goes into what I was saying, which is that they appear to have turned a little bit of a corner in that on that count recently. They do have two nice covers. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they were a 17.5-point favorite over Georgia Southern, covered that one somewhat comfortably, and then last week they blew out Georgia State, a pretty impressive Georgia State team for the Sun Belt, covered that one by a mile. So maybe their struggles with covering big numbers are coming to an end here a little bit as the season winds down.
Yeah, turning the corner a little bit, which is good. I mean, when you're ending the season, you want to end on a high note. They've been pretty frustrating though, disappointing wise. I thought they'd be a team that would fight to probably win this conference, but they've had a couple missteps, and it's definitely been a tougher year for Satterfield's crew there. But yeah, Peter, we have a couple comments. You want to hear a couple comments here?
Well, before we get to the comments, let me just tell you what I'm going to do about this game, big man.
Oh, I thought you gave your play. My fault, Peter.
No, I didn't give it officially. I am going to give it, though. I'm going to take the Pinnacle line right now, -14, -101 on Appalachian State. I do think that Louisiana Lafayette, if they come, they're a very inconsistent team. If they come in here and we see the good version of Louisiana Lafayette, obviously this will probably be a single-digit game and go down to the wire. But I think it's worth a bet enough that it's a good enough spot for Appalachian State that I'm willing to take them. At 14.5, I didn't want it, but at 14, I will take it. That's another official pick for me. Appalachian State, -14, -101, big man. All right, let's get some interesting comments that you're seeing there.
Yeah, we got a couple good ones. Louisiana Lafayette, more like Louisiana laughingstock.
Yeah,
Funny.
I mean look, they're inconsistent. They're at times they do look much better than they do at other times, and they have a bunch of receivers who are who are nice. They have a trio of receivers who are good. But my sense is just that over a full game, Appalachian State's consistent offense and strong defense is more likely than not to win by 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't at all be surprised if someone lands on 14, which is why I didn't take it at 14.5.
Nice comment from JD Williams. I'm following Loshak's MMA picks blindly. His record is just too good.
It is. Listen, I got 4 official picks for tonight, and there's the 3 picks that I gave that I think I don't know. I mean, I've given them so many times that I might be jinxing myself now, but my sense is that at least 2 of them win, and that's the over 2.5 in the Aldo fight, -165, the over 1.5 in the Overeem fight, +110, and then the prop on the Gaethje fight not going the distance at -175. And if 2 of those win, you cash. Would I be shocked if all 3 of them lost? Yes, I would be shocked. Would I be shocked if 1 of them won and 2 of them lost? A little bit, but not that shocked. I mean, picks can lose, but I'm feeling pretty confident about my MMA picks tonight. What can I say? That's all I can say, big man.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. You've been doing a great job. Very very impressive stuff. What do y'all think about the over in the Oklahoma TCU game? We talked about that one. Well, I'm not very interested in it. I know the Sharps are. They like it, but
the quote unquote Sharps, right?
Yes, right. Exactly.
Yeah, so now it's up to 63.5, 64 or 64.5. Although Pinnacle's now down to 63.5, so maybe some now. Whoa, the Greek is down to 63. There's late sharp. I think there might be late big money coming in on the under on that one, which would make a little bit more sense to me. I don't know. I'm staying off of that game completely. I kind of agree with Big Man that I think that Oklahoma, is probably the legitimately better team here. If you gave me a free play on it, I would take Oklahoma -7, but I didn't bet that one, and I'm not going to. TCU's probably going to make some adjustments. It's probably going to be closer than the first game, but I don't think that it's likely enough to be that close that it makes TCU a 50% play at +7. So if you gave me a free play, I'd take Oklahoma, but I'm not going to bet it.
Let's make some fucking money. Love the show. Thanks, Peter and Big Man from Hakos Kufa. Thanks, buddy. A lot of college hoops talk on here today. I'm seeing late, which we got some games getting started top of the hour. But we, as we know, Peter, this is a college football show. But you have any opinion on Xavier Cincinnati?
Oh, I have not. I'm going to look at the college basketball games today. I just have not had a chance to look at them at all. Big Man, I don't know what your schedule's like. I know you're the Human Torch in college basketball this year. At this point in the day, do you have any college basketball opinions that you feel confident enough to share?
Yeah, I actually will talk about the Xavier Cincinnati game. I do want to make this clear. Last night I was 0-2. First time in the season I was 0-2, Peter, last night.
Because didn't you take Maryland last night?
I did. I had Maryland and I had Creighton. Creighton was up 7 at halftime, 20-4 run by Gonzaga, and bye-bye Creighton. So yeah, Maryland just couldn't get up over the hump. They cut the lead a couple times, just couldn't do it. But I mean, at home, I'm getting 3 points at home at Maryland. I thought it was a good play. Cincinnati Xavier's an interesting one. Crosstown shootout here between these two. They hate each other. This is going to be a great game. In a game like this, I'm taking the points. Trayvon Blewett's been a little injured. He could be banged up. I like Cincinnati. I think they're a team that could really make one of those great ascensions into the tournament, really go on a run. I mean, they're well coached. This might be one of Cronin's better teams. They brought in a transfer named Kane Broom that I really like. They brought everyone back pretty much. I actually like Cincinnati here if I had to throw a play out here, but I haven't looked a ton into it. I'm going to make my moves here in a little bit. But people are asking about that game. I lean Cincinnati there, frankly.
Okay, all right, and let me, yeah, that Maryland game. Actually, I actually, as you know, I like to play totals. I had the Purdue team total over and the first half total over, but then when I looked at the second half, I had your liking of Maryland in my mind, and I actually did take Maryland on the second half, and that one actually did cash, big man.
Yeah, they played well in the second half. They actually, Peter, I don't know if you ended up seeing the end of the game. It was a 5-point game with like 8 seconds to go, and some kid on Maryland goes up for a layup and blows the layup. I would have got a push out of it at least. But hey, those things happen in gambling. No, they played well in the second half. Just couldn't get up over and get that lead, which in college basketball, if you're down in a game, you really got to try to go up and get that lead at some point to get some confidence. They weren't able to do that. And I think, in their heads, it was just like, wow, we can't get up and over this team at home. So it sucked. It was a tough one.
Yeah, so I do want to thank you for that, because if I hadn't known you were on Maryland, I would not have taken them on the second half there. And let's just review our picks here, all of our official picks, and then maybe add on some others very quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. All of Big Man's picks today, a bunch of them: Auburn +2, ULM +26, FIU +3, FAU -10.5, -114, Clemson under 46.5, Toledo over 60.5, Wisconsin on the money line +170, and Akron +21. And I'm on the Georgia State first half team total over 13. The New Mexico State first half team total over 16.5. Appalachian State -14. Toledo over 60.5. Coastal Carolina over 49. The New Mexico State game over 53.5. Memphis +7. FIU over 55.5. And FAU first half -6.5, -106. And there are a couple of other plays that I will give. I will give the over in that Georgia State game. Let me just find that. Where is that? I'll give the over at 44.5. I got to do it. That's just too low. So I will give the over in the Georgia State game, over 44.5, -110. That is at Heritage. And I want to make a final decision on the New Mexico State game, just on New Mexico State minus the points. Just feels like, I like the over here, and I like it because I think that New Mexico State's gonna put up enough points to get it over, whether South Alabama has a big offensive game or not. As you said, South Alabama has sort of an inconsistent offense. They might get absolutely blown out of the water. What do you think about -10 at the Greek for New Mexico State?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the way I would go. I mean, I think South Alabama is shit on all. I don't know that. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with New Mexico State. It's been a pretty good year for the Aggies.
All right, I'm adding that one on as well. It is 11 or 10.5 at some places. The Greek has 10, so I'm going to take New Mexico State -10, -115 over South Alabama. And I think on that note, we can wrap it up, big man. Anything else you want to add, or shall we call it a day?
Always great doing videos with you, Peter. Hopefully we can do some stuff a little bit later. Good stuff as always.
Absolutely. Talk to you again very soon, big man.